Hello everyone, how's it going? I thought I would try something different for this video. I'm gonna do basically a discussion video since my reviews don't seem to do that particularly well because let's face it, there's lots and lots of Transformers reviewers on YouTube. So I thought I would try a different format for a video. This is going to be basically a discussion video where basically I talk about something related to Transformers. We'll see how this does. If it does fairly well, maybe there'll be more of this. Who knows? I'm just going to experiment with different stuff and see what works and what doesn't. So anyway, this is my inaugural discussion video. And obviously, you've read the title. So basically, you know I'm going to be trying to figure out our current Transformers prices fair, right? And we're going to be looking at the inflation calculator a bunch, and we're going to be talking about milestones and just all sorts of, things of that nature. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in and get started. Obviously, the first thing we're looking at here is, we're looking at $10 back in January of '99 has the same buying power as of last month of $15.34, right? So what that means is basically, that's $19.99. It would take $15.34 to be worth what $10 was worth back then, right? Buying dollar-wise. So why is this important? Why do I have those two things in the inflation calculator? Well, the reason I have January of 1999 in there is my starting point is the year that I started collecting Transformers as an adult. I started in 1999, so man, it's been almost 20 years now. It's a long time. And deluxes, these guys cost $10 back in 1999, right? Pretty much, across the board. So the equivalent amount of money to that today is $15.34. Okay, so let's give them a little leeway. Let's say $16 or $17, right? I think, that would be fair for a modern deluxe. But as you guys are aware, in the Siege line, they just raised prices of deluxe class figures to $20. Is that fair? Well, let's look at the differences between the deluxes, from back then versus now. I guess you could say the packaging is of a better quality because now we get boxes instead of bubble cards, so maybe that's slightly nicer. The artwork's slightly better. As far as the paint goes on these things, I'm just trying to figure out, like manufacturing costs, right? Maybe it is better on this guy than, say, a deluxe classroom. I don't know, though. It's pretty similar. I'd say paint quality on this and all that. It's definitely smaller. It's less mass. It's less plastic, than deluxe was in 1999. So they're downsized. So is that a fair price? That's for you to decide. So. All right, guys, now we're going to talk about the last time that deluxes were made smaller, but the price made bigger. Back in 2012, it raised a lot more fuss in the fan community because back in 2012, deluxes for the Fall of Cybertron line that was actually related to the video game of the same name, they announced that deluxes will be going from $9.99 to $14.99. That's a $5 increase, right? Pretty big. 50% increase. So this is basically what I got here is from then to now. But let's be fair, right? Basically back at we'll go back to 1999 when they were $10, and we'll look at we'll do that span of time, right? So if we go from January of 99 to November of 2012, 1401 is basically what we're looking at inflation-wise. So back in 2012, Hasbro was really, in my opinion, just kind of keeping pace with inflation. Gave themselves a little bit of a, a little bit of a cushion Not much. Very little cushion to, absorb inflation and still be able to make profit on their Transformers, right? That generated a really big amount of controversy in the fan community. But let's look at the current price increase. So $15, back in 2012 to 2018. And here we go. 1668 is the rough, cost. So that is actually pretty close to what the increase was, because deluxe prices have been kind of creeping up little by little over the years. A lot of places, the retail is $17, or at least for the previous line for Power of the Primes. A lot of places were selling deluxe class figures for right around $17. So it was kind of keeping pace, but Hasbro went ahead and just said, you know what, we're going to price deluxes now at $19.99, which to me seems to be kind of, a little bit of a greedy move. And it seems like they're a little outsized for what they're reaching. They're definitely ahead of inflation now as far as how much should a Transformers cost. They're slightly more than they should cost now at this point, by a pretty decent margin. Now, again, the argument could be made. There's better packaging, better paint, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't really know if it's worth that sort of a price increase. I'd be fine with them still coming on the blister packs rather than in the boxes. I'm sure them switching to the boxes probably saves them money somehow. That companies generally don't make manufacturing changes out of the kindness of their hearts. They do it to save money. So I'm sure there's some reason for this. With deluxe class figures with these guys now costing $19.99, I don't know really. Let's hope it's at least 10 years before unless inflation goes nuts. Let's hope they don't raise prices on these guys for quite a long time. And the reason I'm saying that is, actually, like I said in my Transformers haul video, I got these guys all for 65% off on Hasbro Toy Shop, direct from Hasbro, right? So I paid under $10 for this. I paid probably, 8 something, right? Because it was 50% off, so 20% off is obviously $10, and then another 5% off, whatever. Or I'm sorry, 15% off that because I had a coupon code. So this was $8 and something individually for Sideswipe, which is a steal, really, for him. It's a great figure. You're telling me that Hasbro lost money on that transaction. A business is going to, sell stock of basically a commodity that is in high demand because these are, new figures. And if you look on eBay, they're selling for, $30, $40. Don't pay that, by the way. But obviously, these are currently a hot item that people are willing to pay more than retail for. So you're telling me they're going to sell that to me at $8 and some cents and take a loss on it? I doubt it. I don't know what their profit margin is, but, I don't. The bottom line is, I don't think deluxes need to cost $20 in 2018/2019. I think that they are somewhat overpriced for what they are. So what impact is this going to have on me buying deluxe as well? Obviously, I'm going to be fair. I mean, I always have been relatively selective about what I buy, but this is going to probably make me even more selective than I was before. So anyway, that is, deluxe classes. Now, all right, guys, now I'm ready to jump into a bigger topic since I obviously just covered deluxes. I'm going to cover a class of Transformers that's not talked about a lot in the fan community anymore. But I think this is a relevant comparison. And what we're looking at is, $20 back in 2003 has the same buying power of $27.74 in November of 2018. That's what this line cost in most stores. And basically what I paid for what I'm about to show off. But sometimes you would see it for $25, depending on the store. If you went to a, quote, expensive store or whatever, they may cost $25. So, what am I showing off? Well, I'm going to show off an alternator, right? These were officially licensed by the car manufacturer, so keep that in mind. So, they had to pay a licensing fee to a car manufacturer, right? And if you're smart, you already know exactly what I'm going to be comparing this to, but I'll get there. The engineering on these was complex, high part count. They were, quote, a premium style of figure, yada, yada, yada. Right? Fairly complex, and, So if we're charitable and we say it was 25 back then, even though it was 20, the current buying power is 34.68. So, my question is, why in the hell do modern masterpieces cost, at least the Autobot cars, cost $80 or $90? What's the justification there? Is this toy, 3 times better than this toy? Like, that's a subjective opinion on which one you like better, but let's talk parts count, quality, paint. Yes, this does have more paint apps than this. This tends just to be color molded plastic, but is it worth that much more money, right? Because obviously they had to, I know they had to pay a license to Lamborghini for Sideswipe and any other Masterpiece figures. They pay licensing fees for the Autobot cars. I'm well aware that's a thing that they have to pay. That's a cost they have to pay out. But are you honestly telling me that a Masterpiece needs to cost that much for there to be profit? I find that to be a load of crap, in my opinion. I think we were just talking about deluxes being, a bit overpriced. Masterpiece has them beat by a wide margin. Masterpiece, in my opinion, is ridiculously overpriced for what it actually is. In my opinion, these figures should cost, at most, $40. At most, based on what we're seeing here. There is no reason for these things to cost what they cost. And I think my next data point is really going to bear this out. But we'll get there here in a minute. They are just, they just cost too much for what they are, which is why I have zero issues with buying KOs. I know some people say, oh, well, you shouldn't buy KOs because you're not directly supporting Takara or whatever. And yeah, that's true. But when you look at the numbers, is Masterpiece actually worth what's getting charged? That's a great question. Just something to think about, something to consider. All right, guys, now it's time to talk about kind of the elephant in the room, right? We're going to be talking about, MP44. We all know he's coming out, and when he was announced, the price, $450, it ignited a lot of controversy in the fan community, and a lot of fans said, I'm not getting it because of the price. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I'm one of those fans as well. Yeah, he looks cool, but is he worth $450? No. And the reason I say that is, what do we have? Who do we have here? We have MP10, right? Basically the same. He's not going to be, a lot bigger than MP10. He's going to have probably maybe a slightly higher parts count. Who knows? Because of the engineering or whatever. But he's not going to. He comes with a few more accessories, but MP10 still comes with a trailer, some comes with roller, still comes with a matrix, weapons, yada, 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 right? So MP10, to be fair, still is pretty sweet and comes with a lot of stuff. MP44 comes with slightly more stuff. Does that make him worth that much more money? I would have to say no. And you're asking yourself, well, how much did you pay for MP10? Well, I got the initial Toys R Us release of MP10 back in 2012, and I was lucky enough to get them for $100, right? So, saying that they're similar toys with similar costs, how much should MP44 cost? That's what MP44 should cost, $111. But let's be fair, because we live in a capitalistic society, and let's be honest, you couldn't get them for $100 for long at Toys R Us. Many more people got them for this price, right? $120. So let's even say Toys R Us screwing people over the way they did and raising the price 20%. Let's fine. $133 is the buying power, right? So let's go out on the craziest limb that we can think of, right? And say, okay, well, those extra accessories and higher parts count is worth something for MP44. Is it worth the difference between, $450 to $133? No, let's be generous and say it'd be worth $150 per unit for them to maintain their same level of profitability. The point I'm trying to make, guys, is Transformers are, at least on the lower end, on deluxe class figures. Obviously, we don't have masterpiece levels of inflation, but there's a little bit there, and I think they're slightly overpriced. I think masterpieces are ridiculously overpriced to an extreme amount for what they are. That is it. I'd really like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. If you think I'm, on base, if you think I'm way off, if you think stuff's too cheap, whatever you think, whatever you want to hear. That's it. As always, if you like this, thumbs up. If you hate me, thumbs down. Share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper.